Whether you operate one forklift or thousands, one location or hundreds, the new My Toyota customer portal can help you optimize your operation and material handling equipment. This one-stop, free-to-use platform is designed to help you take control of your information and make smarter decisions, all at the touch of a button. Register and access your data today at my.toyotaforklift.com. That's my.toyotaforklift.com.
Hi, this is Seth Weisberg of ABCO Systems, and you are listening to the New Warehouse Podcast. Today's safety tip revolves around a number of tips for forklift operators. Some of these might sound basic, but they're all very important, and I see them being violated all the time. Always wear a seatbelt when provided. Keep a safe distance from all platforms and ramp edges. Drive with your lift down. Never drive with your mast all the way up. Use lights, mirrors, and horns at every intersection. Honk your horn. And never, ever, most importantly, never, ever use forks to lift people.
With e-commerce off the charts, many small and growing warehouses are asking, how can I get ahead when my warehouse is barely keeping up? The answer is future-ready warehouse tech from Zebra Technologies. Warehouses can simplify and upgrade all processes, from automated inventory management to hands-free picking, with Zebra's tailored, scalable mobile solutions. They're simple and intuitive. There's never been a better time to upgrade for success with Zebra. How can your warehouse get ahead? The answer's in black and white. Get the answers at zebra.com/theanswer. That's zebra.com/theanswer. Businesses are retooling fulfillment operations, from warehouses to omnichannel, to meet new demand amid unprecedented labor shortages. 3PLs, retailers, B2B distributors, and others are turning to flexible fulfillment solutions like 6 River Systems to adapt and scale. 6 River Systems Fulfillment Execution System is an integrated solution that combines intelligent, cloud-based software and automation, including its autonomous mobile robot, AMR, Chuck. No costly or disruptive infrastructure changes, fast and easy associate training, and integrations with other warehouse execution solutions allow operations to meet labor challenges, increase efficiency, and enhance customer engagement. Go to www.6river.com to learn more. Go to www.6river.com to learn more.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse Podcast, bringing you a new episode today. And on today's episode, I'm going to be joined by a former guest, Seth Weisberg. He is the CEO at ABCO Systems, and we're going to catch up with ABCO, see what they've been up to, and Seth was also at Modex as well, so we're going to hear his thoughts on what he saw and thinks is happening in the industry and what the future is, and ABCO is also growing as well, so we're going to hear a little bit about that and how they're addressing some of the issues we're seeing or some of the spikes we're seeing in our business, especially on the e-commerce side. So Seth, welcome back to the show. How are you?
Kevin, great to be here. Thank you very much. Really appreciate seeing you again. Doing great. Really enjoying the ride that the material handling industry is experiencing right now.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. Things are going a little wild and definitely growth period. So good place to be in, right?
It's amazing because it really wasn't always. I've said this before, but Amazon truly changed the nature of the culture of material handling in general. Yeah. And thankfully, everybody that's been in the industry for 20, even 10 plus years is able to enjoy this cultural shift where people are finally starting to realize the more time and energy and effort and even finances and resources that you put into designing and installing your distribution center, the better your business is going to run and the more efficient and the more money you're going to make too. So it's a whole new world for us. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. We finally gotten some attention, I guess. We've always been behind the scenes and, maybe not so desirable, right? But now people are really interested. As you mentioned, people are bringing money to the table. Like, they're very interested in investing in their warehousing and all new technologies and things of that nature. So why don't you give us a little, people are not familiar with ABCO, give us a little brief overview of what it is that you guys do.
Great. ABCO Systems is a full-service design and build material handling company. We do everything from sortation, conveyance throughout a building, multi-level pick modules, garment on hanger, pallet rack, and even shelving. Over the years, we've evolved significantly more towards the product flow throughout a building. So while we still do provide pallet rack, our business really has changed significantly to the point where we're focused mostly in the e-commerce world. So yes, providing storage for that, but really focusing mostly on the product movement throughout a building, from receiving to put away to shipping, all the way through the process. We have about 50 people on staff, 6 in-house engineers, our own internal operations team with a bunch of installers, but many of our installers are of course, subs that work across the country. Right. And we have an office in LA area, we have an office in Pennsylvania, and our base is right now in Belleville, but as you know, we're moving to Carlstadt in a couple of months.
Right, and we'll talk about that a little later, but obviously you guys are seeing the growth, and you guys have been around for a long time. I've used you myself a couple times in other jobs, and you guys do a great job and very flexible on the solutions that you deliver as well. So
I appreciate that, Kevin.
Yeah, of course. And so you mentioned in there, we talked a little bit earlier on the beginning of the show there about things are growing rapidly in the material handling industry, and there's being, all kinds of attention, and companies are really investing in their supply chain, specifically their distribution and warehousing fulfillment centers, trying to optimize them as much as possible. So you were at Modex. I was there too, but I'm curious from your perspective, what were your thoughts on what you saw at Modex, and what do you think is kind of the temperature or what's going on with the material handling industry right now?
I've got a lot of mixed emotions about it. First off, the show was incredible.
Yeah.
Whoever's responsible for putting that on did a great job. Mm-hmm. The exhibitors were all super impressive. I mean, in general, it was just an impressive show, especially recalling what it was like years and years ago. And listen, it was always pretty impressive, right? But This was just a spectacular show. Maybe it's because it was one of the first big things after COVID. Maybe it was because the energy was so high. I'm not 100% sure, but the show itself was really fantastic. Yeah. It was a mopsy. Monday, which tends to be the slower day, was jam-packed. And Tuesday, which tends to be the busiest day, I mean, it was like going into a Billy Joel concert. It was very, very busy. And like I said, electric. Just very exciting to be there. I know that a lot of people felt this way, but you couldn't walk 25 feet without running into somebody that you knew. Yeah. Because there was just so many people from across the country there. In terms of the exhibits themselves, it's interesting because I felt this way, and we had 9 people from ABCO there, and of course, like I said, just spoke to so many different people. It was a lot of similar stuff. A lot of the products being offered today are packaged a little differently, presented a little bit differently, but are ultimately doing a lot of the same things, which really goes to show how important developing the right relationships are, and how important it is to work with a company that you trust, work with people that you trust, and work with people really that you like. Yeah. Because for projects that we're talking about these days, right, they're 18 to 24 months. So I think there's a real opportunity to create something new, to find something new. A lot of what we see there, of course, is robotics. Right. I have a tough time justifying the ROI for a lot of the robotics companies. There are companies out there for certain that are keeping their costs down and keeping it pretty simple. But there's also a lot that it does appear difficult to find an ROI on it, which, if I could take a left turn here, brings me to what I find to be a very interesting point. And of course, I won't mention the customer, but we were with someone about 6 months ago, and I saw some of the most incredible technology I've ever seen there. An algorithm that brings in the product to a robotic arm, to a shuttle, goes into trucks, and I mean, it was incredible. The software behind it, of course, was the most important piece because that was what was bringing everything to the actual packing area. That said, when we asked about the ROI, their comment, the customer's comment was, we're not as concerned with the ROI on projects like this as we once were. Right now, we're concerned with staying relevant. There's so much competition between so many of the big box companies that while ROI is, of course, important,
Right.
the ability to get product through a building efficiently and cost effectively and into a customer's hand, most importantly, is the most important piece. Because customers, as we all know, want it, and they want it as fast as they can get it. So if they can get it one place in a day or 2 days versus another place that might be 7 days or 2 weeks, it's an easy answer. So it's almost not even, are we going to make our money back on this? It's, are we going to stay relevant, and are we going to stay competitive against our competitors? And let's be real, everybody's competing against Amazon today, or Walmart, or Home Depot. I mean, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an interesting point because, a lot of the, I think, customer experience is built nowadays, and, thanks to Amazon, as you mentioned earlier, based on that service level that you can deliver, and deliver quickly. So like you said, sometimes maybe it's not necessarily the total ROI that you're looking at. It's about staying relevant, and are we investing in something that as a technology that's going to grow and expand and maybe get ROI maybe long term down the road, but we're going to be more efficient and get things through the building faster. So very interesting insight there, and it's interesting too that you said there's a lot of the same things but packaged a little bit differently. So I'm curious. Obviously Modex, one of the things is that's all about innovation, right? So what did you see? I think that really kind of maybe blew your mind, or you think is maybe kind of the next, not necessarily next shiny thing in the industry, but next kind of solid step in the industry to what we might be seeing from a technology standpoint?
Well, I think I'll call it a company that I have never done business with. I haven't spoken to these guys in a really long time, but somebody like Cognite Ops, the stuff that they're doing, and this is, I think a lot of people are doing things like this, right? I think AI is really, people are investing in it, and people are looking into it, and of course, people want to use it to make their buildings that much better. But the stuff that I'm seeing them put out, I think, is really, really impressive. And it's interesting because from my personal perspective, it was always about the hardware, and I think that's what a lot of people look at, right? That's what a lot of people see. But as my own education continues, I'm realizing more and more that the people that are going to be succeeding on this, it's really all about the software. And that's not breaking, right? Like, that's not new news, of course, but I think it's more important today to realize that than ever. The people that are putting the time and effort and energy behind the algorithms and behind the math and how buildings are going to operate, that's what I'm finding most impressive right now. And I think Cognite Ops is really doing a good job on that. And there's a few others, I think, but for the most part, they're the ones that really stand out for me.
Yeah, definitely. And, we've had Cognite Ops on the podcast before, and some of the others as well. I mean, it's interesting to see. We have so much going on, I guess, with these technologies and robots coming in, is all this data flowing and things, and the ability to be able to harness all the information that's flowing through, and like similar to what Cognite Ops is doing with the AI you mentioned, and be able to really help the operation flow better and more efficiently from a software perspective, I think is a really great point there. Yeah. So
and the lack of labor today, the challenges with labor, I think without the right software, without the right AI, people are going to fall behind. And it's interesting to me because, we've worked with so many different people over the last 20 plus years, and the ones that are investing in technology and spending more money, they're clearly more successful than the ones that are not.
Yeah.
And that's not gonna change. That's definitely the way going forward. It seems to me inevitable that the people that are thinking long term, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, those are the companies that are succeeding 2 and 3 years down the road as well.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing because, I think our industry, in a sense, we for a long time we're kind of stuck in our ways. In a sense, we don't want to disrupt our operation because, God forbid, we can't ship something for a day. So but
Yeah,
it's an interesting point there because we have so much technology now coming in, and like you said, people are investing in it, and they're thinking more about the long term. So those that are still kind of stuck in that mindset of like, well, I don't want to rock the boat and throw something off in my operation are eventually going to be the ones that maybe don't make it or can't keep up with those service levels that consumers expect now.
Yeah, that's a super adder to that. I mean, I've been thinking for quite a while, how can this continue, right? And I'm not the only one, clearly,
right.
But how can this continue? And how can everybody continue to do well? And I don't think everyone's going to continue to do well. You talk to anybody at that show and everybody's screaming busy, which is great to hear, right? Yeah. But given all the things that are going on in the world, given all the things that are happening locally, and everything with inflation, how can we possibly think that this is going to continue? Now, considering we're a consumer nation and people still need products, distribution is always going to be important.
Yeah.
But if you're not investing in the technology and you're not investing in the long-term picture, clearly people are going to be failing, whereas others are going to be succeeding. And that's where the argument goes back. Is the ROI that important today?
Yeah.
Or is the ability to compete more important?
We'll be back after a quick break.
You hear a lot about supply chains these days, because if the past couple years have taught us anything, it's that an efficient, well-managed supply chain is absolutely critical to keeping businesses successful and consumers happy. I'm Will Haywood, and I host a podcast called All Business, No Boundaries, where we talk about supply chains, how they work, what happens when they don't, and the innovations that are redefining what's possible in the world of logistics. Join me for insightful interviews with thought leaders and industry experts. We discuss how optimizing supply chains can break down the barriers that are holding businesses back. That's All Business, No Boundaries by DHL Supply Chain. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, very interesting, and I think it's all interesting points there, and very thought provoking as well as what does the future look like, because there is so much going on right now. So along those lines, obviously, we've seen not only just a change in material handling as a whole, but certainly the pandemic has caused huge spikes in e-commerce as well as consumer behavior has just changed overall. So how is ABCO coming to kind of deliver solutions now? You mentioned that you're primarily working in the e-commerce space now. What kind of solutions are you delivering to help people get through these spikes in e-commerce and keep up and future-proof themselves as well?
We're kind of doing what we've always done, in the sense that we are continuing to create relationships with good people. We're just focusing on different types of relationships today. Okay. That's not to say that our relationship with Kogan or Interlake Mechalux or TGW, which is now MHE, aren't important to us, because they're our bread and butter. They're our mainstay, and they're incredibly good to us. But and thank God for them, because they're super helpful in helping us continue to provide the service levels that our customers are used to. But we've recently developed a relationship with ABCO, which is a really, really great company providing awesome solutions, and the partnership is just flourishing with them. We've introduced them to a number of our customers, and they've been super helpful in that regard. We've developed a relationship with Fetch, and we've even sent people to do training there, and we're bringing their robots into our customers' facilities. We've even purchased one so that we've got here locally, so that we can show customers how easy they are to set up and how easy they are to use. And we're hiring a little bit differently, right? We brought in a number of really, really smart people We're focusing that much more on the controls and the software behind how to run a building and how to run a system. And we're doing a lot more simple stuff, even like print and applies, pick walls and put walls.
Right.
We are just focusing on where the industry really seems to be going without going too deep into it, because we know we're never going to compete with the Intelligrateds or the Dramatics, so it's just not realistic for us, So what we've done instead is we've found our niche.
Yeah.
We're not looking for the $15-20 million plus jobs. Our bread and butter, our sweet spot really has anything from $250,000, which is entry level, kind of out of the box automation that we've become really good at, to a $3 to $5 or $6 million job, and that has been excellent for us because there's still so many companies out there that are realizing they need the automation to succeed, yet they don't have the resources and or even the business case to put in something super expensive. So we've even hired someone recently who is a consultant because we want to make sure that we're justifying the data, we're justifying the math.
Yeah.
A long time ago we were a construction company. We put up steel. And nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of friends and colleagues in the business that are doing really well and are very successful at that. But our focus has really shifted into more of the analytics behind everything and showing our customer base and our potential new customers that we can help them develop solutions that will make them more successful. Not only operating more efficiently, not only operating more cost effectively, but to a point where they're able to compete with the Amazons out there because they're able to get the product through their building that much faster. And we're helping them to collect data. And, we're not big enough that we're working on those projects that you can't really justify the ROI. So what we're doing is we're analyzing literally everything from, just for an example, we just put a white paper out on pick modules versus VNA.
Yeah.
Just trying to show what the best way to process and store and move product is. And it's been good for us. Our best year prior to COVID was a little over 40 million in sales. And then COVID, we dipped a little bit. And then last year we were 60 plus in sales. And we're if the first quarter of this year is any indication, we might beat 80 this year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride and it's a lot of fun. A lot of our customers are continuing to evolve, so we're evolving with them. But on top of that, we're just getting so much more business because our name is out there so much more. So, yeah, it's been an interesting time for sure. And that's ultimately what we're doing to stay relevant, because the same way our customers need to stay relevant to ship products to people, we need to stay relevant to make sure that they're using us to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's interesting that you kind of mentioned in there, this is something I mentioned on the podcast a lot, is there, like the big guys, like, you mentioned Amazon and Walmart and Home Depot and stuff in there, they have, full on teams to do R&D for this type of stuff and, try out new things, and they have the resources to do that. But like you mentioned, the small to medium sized businesses in there, like they can't necessarily afford those big projects, but they need to do something, right, to keep up. So it's great that you guys are kind of catering to that market in a sense, and being able to provide these medium to smaller size projects and have that flexibility in there. I think that really fills a gap in the industry, and it's definitely a good thing there. So I'm curious, from the perspective of, I guess that customer set, the small and medium sized business, a lot of things I think and challenges now are not only obviously labor shortages is the huge one, but another one is space, right? So people are trying to utilize their space a little better. It's a little difficult to get more space, or maybe they don't necessarily have the capital to go and get a larger warehouse. So what type of creative things are you seeing in like the last year or so to try and utilize space better? So,
what a great point. And I think that's probably what a lot of people are thinking about right now, but I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. So I'm glad that you're bringing that up. Real estate is so incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
As we discussed, we leased a building a few months ago. The market has jumped almost 25% since we signed the lease. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it's gone up so much that I would be hesitant I was hesitant to sign at that price then, and now that I'm looking at it, I'm realizing I got a great deal.
Yeah.
And that was 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So more than ever, people have to utilize the cube. Dense storage is so very important. But, again, we're living in a different world where it's not a retail shipment where you're shipping a box of 30 dresses to a store or 10 or 15 jackets. You're shipping onesie twosies.
Yeah.
So the storage requirements are so different. We are doing an enormous amount of pick modules, literally all across the country, 2-level, 3-level pick modules, which are fun jobs because every customer is so different. The requirements are so different. The buildings are different, that the engineering behind it is pretty technical. And understanding the math, understanding the data behind it, what they're shipping, the slow movers, the fast movers, that has been integral for us to help our customers in utilizing space. But that's also why we put that white paper out. Like V&A, which was extremely key not that long ago, might very well not be the best solution going forward, given the changes in the industry.
And that's just because of the more focused on e-commerce, then why is that?
Correct, because now you're looking at onesie twosie type items, whereas a V&A, and you can, right? Like there's different types of trucks, of course, that you can get up there and pull items, but it's just not efficient. So if you're combining efficiency with space utilization, there's always pros and cons, right? So there's always going to be a case for somebody to decide on one solution rather than another. But what we're seeing more than ever is something like Storganizer is super for creating dense storage, right? Yeah. If you want to use like shelving levels on V&A versus Storganizer, the math isn't even remotely justifiable to use shelving levels at this point. You get so much more space and so much more efficient because you can move it around instead of pushing boxes around. The ability to process that type of product is so different than it was even 3 or 4 years ago. And of course, e-commerce was on the rise then. Yeah. But with COVID, it's not likely going back, of course. So, and I think the quote unquote explosion, it was like the shift was 10%, right? Which is a colossal shift in any industry. But that was pre-COVID. Now it's something like 35-40% of everything is going, and don't quote me on that, I'm not sure of that number, but it's an enormous amount clearly going the e-commerce route. So to create that dense storage is really one of our big focuses. Pallet rack, important because you still need bulk storage, right? That's never going to go away. Yeah. But that's why people have to utilize the cube as much as possible. So finding the right trucks to work in your facility is also a big part of it. And then, of course, these larger buildings that are being built throughout the country, how are you getting product throughout that building? It's a lot of walking space. So conveyance throughout the building, and, a lot of people are using AMRs at this point. Yeah. And that's where a company like Fetch and where we're seeing success, we're seeing product move throughout the building via these robots. And the long lines, that's where Fetch really shines. And that's been an enormous boon for them and for us in working with their product. But the cost of real estate today and the lack of availability, it's, to me, how long can it last? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because it's certainly in demand, so it's not like we're anywhere close to that popping and not being any demand there. And obviously with the demand, it's just going to drive the price up even more. So so it's interesting to see how people are getting creative with the space that they have to be able to utilize that more. So I appreciate that insight there. So
people a lot smarter than me are telling me 24 to 36 months that they think that the demand for this space is going to continue.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a good amount. I mean, I still see lots of construction going on here in New Jersey and distribution centers all over. Yeah. Yeah. So now we're talking about space, and you mentioned in there a little bit too. You signed a lease, right? So you're coming up on this new location in Carlstadt, I think you mentioned, and you're going to have a showroom there. So tell us a little bit about that and what people can expect from that.
So we're super excited about this. We've meant to do it in our Belleville location for the last 5 years, but to be quite frank, we've been so busy and needed the staging space that we never turned the designated area into a showroom. Okay. And we really weren't there just yet. either, you know? It was all relatively basic stuff up until the last 5 years for us. But the last 5 years, again, we've evolved with the markets, and what we're planning on doing, what we are doing, because everything's ordered and we're ready to go, we are putting in a training center because just like everybody else, we're having problems finding technicians.
Yeah.
I think there's not a lack of people that want to do it, but I think there is a lack of availability for them to get the proper training, the proper access. So we're going to combine a training loop with a demonstration loop for conveyance, and we're going to put print and apply on it. You know, a lot of our customers want to see the technology, right? It's new for them. Oftentimes, we cannot bring them into other customers because they're competition in some way, shape, or form. Or oftentimes, a lot of our customers, and rightfully so, have put a lot of their own intellectual capital into developing their distribution model, and they don't necessarily want to share that with somebody else. So to have, and that's not to say that we don't give tours a lot, we do, but to be able to have our own facility where we could bring people in and show them what we're doing, I think it's going to be a game changer for us. It's really pretty exciting. We're going to have a pick wall, we're going to have a pallet shuttle, we're going to have, like I said, the print and apply loop. We're going to have an example. We just flew a team out to one of our projects in Texas to look at the pick module. We're actually going to have a pick module in our facility. It's going to be small, but one side is going to be flat pack. Right. One side is going to be GOH. We're going to have some store organizer in the flat pack side. You know, so we're going to try and put in as much of the options that we can fit into this area, so that we can bring customers in and show them what we're doing. And again, at the same time, train our staff so that our team has knowledge that the goal is that surpasses other people's teams, right? Because just like everybody else, we need to not only stay relevant, but we need to continue educating ourselves and also providing our team with opportunities to better themselves as individuals. So it's a multi-fold, multi-purpose showroom/training center. And I really could not be more excited about it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, and it's such a great idea because, you know, I think especially as we're in this point of pivoting, I guess, for a lot of people in our industry, they're, you know, trying to get creative with what they're doing with their distribution centers and fulfillment centers, and you know, we see people, as we just talked about on the episode, you know, we talked about, you know, getting creative with the space and bringing in new technology and things of that nature. It's important for people to see these things in person, I think, to understand some of them, because a lot of people, especially those smaller and medium-sized businesses, it's probably the first introduction to some automation they might be seeing. So it's great that you guys are going to bring this showroom to life and be able to show some of those things to customers, and then also the training aspect is a great thing too as well. So definitely excited to see that open up.
Can't wait to have you there, Kevin.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see this stuff in person either. I love to see it. So.
And if I can just reinforce something that you said, I mean, one of our specialties really over the years has been working with smaller companies and helping them scale and helping them grow. You know, we say all the time, don't spend the money unless you really need to.
Yeah.
So if we can help them build something small, an entry-level type of automation solution that helps them see and realize the value and then grow into it, that's the ideal situation for us and for our customer base. So we really do love playing in the playground that we're in right now, because a lot of the smaller guys can't really do what we can do. They just don't have the level of sophistication that we've got. And the bigger guys, they don't have the flexibility that we have and or the inclination to work on some of these smaller jobs. So while we've got an array of extremely talented competitors, we find ourselves in a relatively smaller pool considering the niche that we found ourselves in. So pretty interesting and definitely a place where we are happy to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a great place to be as well. And it's great to see you guys continuing to grow and hire as well. I think I even saw you had a post on LinkedIn this morning or today about, you know, you're looking for a material handling engineer, right? So if people are interested in maybe a potential job with ABCO, how can they do that?
Oh God, I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
Our engineering department is swamped, as I think every engineering department in this industry is, and we are continuing to search for all sorts of resources in that regard. But right now, our desperate need is another high level conveyance automation solutions type of engineer. So they can reach out to me direct, SethW@ABCOsystems.net, or they can certainly go to our website and apply via our website. They can reach out to us on LinkedIn. I mean, I'd even be willing to share my cell phone, to be quite honest. We are very much looking to bolster our engineering team, simply because we can't keep up. And I know that's not just us. I know that's the vast majority of companies out there today. But all the opportunities coming through, and we've got service levels that our customers are accustomed to, and we need to keep it that way.
All right, great. And we'll put all that information at thenewwarehouse.com as well, so people can find out more about ABCO and maybe get a job too. So, Seth, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to me. It was very interesting to hear about all the things that are going on out there in the material handling world, and definitely looking forward to seeing the showroom when it opens.
Well, Kevin, I got to tell you, man, I love your program. Really enjoyed it the first time, enjoyed it this time. But most of all, I just like listening to it. I think you do a great job. So thrilled to be a part of it, and really looking forward to session number 3 when you come to the facility and check out the demo loop.
Absolutely. Thank you, Seth.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Lawton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want more content from the New Warehouse, check out our new video series called All Hands on LinkedIn. Just search for the New Warehouse on LinkedIn and follow along.